Hello everyone and welcome to the stream. This is Otaku Showboat. Today is Sunday, June 7th. July. I keep doing that. I'm still stuck on June for some reason. It is July 7th, 2019. And today is more Pyanodons. Oh boy. Oh boy. So, I was looking a bit at what will be involved with actually making stainless steel, and it's going to take a while. It's going to take some time. Yeah, Sunday is good with Pyanodons. So yes, and hi, Pyanodon. Uh so yeah, that stainless steel chain. Hmm. Everything will be fine because a lot of things that will be needed for that stainless steel chain are going to be used in other things on the path towards Circuit 2's anyway, specifically towards optical fibers. So yeah, it's not gonna happen today, but uh, we'll get as much done as is possible because from what I can tell, I need to do nickel mining, I need to do molybdenum mining and processing. Uh, I need to do Nexalit, and yeah, we'll go from there. We'll go from there. Yeah, the nickel is okay, especially at this point in the game. The nickel is very simple. There was an update that I already have for Pycol. That yeah, there was I got that update earlier. Something about tailing ponds and dirty water and all that was the update notes for that. No, the only update that's on my list is for Bob's clock mod, which if I do that update, I can't load this series of save games because I started using it with clock version 1.03, and every update to the clock mod since breaks on saves made with that 0.03 version. So it's fine starting new games with the most recent versions of the clock mod, but if you're trying to load a save used in that old or previous version, it just won't. The game won't load it due to an error, which is a little sad and unfortunate because that's just going to be stuck there for a little while. So I was looking at. Let's just go through what I was looking at earlier today. Stainless steel. Stainless steel itself is going to require aramid. Aramid is made in a nanomaterial factory, which I can make because I now have the niobium for the niobium pipes to make the nanomaterial factory. So as it turns out, the path I've been taking just so happens to be the necessary series of steps needed to get to the next things that I'm working towards. Which is pretty neat. Now, aramid, it's needed for stainless steel, but it's also needed for the cladded cores that will be required for the optical stuffs. It's used for copper coating, for Kevlar coating, for niobium iron coating, for optical fiber, which will be used in Circuit Board 2's and Blue Science, and a whole bunch of other stuff, and Circuit Board 3's, apparently. So yeah, that aramid seems rather important. Also, super alloy and super steel and silicon wafers and Mark II construction bots. So we're gonna need lots of this. While I have access to this recipe, I can't actually do this recipe because these microfibers are locked behind nanotech, which is an interesting decision. I would say that maybe this recipe should be locked behind nanotech, actually, because you can't do it until nanotech anyway. Maybe it should be post nanotech that you get this recipe, but anyway. So this recipe, molybdenum plates, will require going through the molybdenum chain. It will require TPA, and it will require sulfuric acid. These are the three things that I currently do not have. Sulfuric acid, that's simple. That's the vanilla recipe or this acid gas recipe. I don't see any reason not to do the vanilla recipe at this point in time, especially since I happen to have the ability to mine sulfur directly through sulfur veins, which is pretty neat. I've got sulfur in at least one location. So the sulfuric acid I'm not worried about. The molybdenum chain will require hydrogen and this and oxygen and will produce sulfur, by the way, and this and filtration media, which I'm going to clearly need now, from concentrate, from nitrogen, from that pulp, from that dust, from that powder, from that ore, And then, what's the, I think the starting zone or something is supposed to have a little bit of this, or... No, doesn't. Where is a molybdenum? That's the question of the day. Do I have a molybdenum? A convenient molybdenum. Would help if I knew what color it was. There's a molybdenum. Small one. Let's see. So that is a dark blue. Right there, there's another small one. I have oil sands that I was looking at earlier. Have some uranium in a couple spots, actually. Up there is a 2 mil uranium. Let's see, is there any large molybdenum? Or am I just sort of stuck with these couple of... Oh, hey, it's a raw nexolite. Gee, I have, like, all... Oh, and even more tar. Isn't that lovely? Oh, there's another uranium spot. Alright, so it looks like it's fairly weak on the molybdenum. Just a couple of... Oh, there's a 1.1. Haha! Yes, Pyanodon, this map. This map has everything. I'm assuming that this is the case because of RSO doing its job and making sure that you have everything. Of course, if you actually look at the distances involved and how many chunks away things are, I guess it sorta makes sense. But because even though it seems like everything is, quote, nearby, I operate on a very large scale to begin with, so some of these things are far enough away that it would be far better to use trains, but I haven't used trains yet in this playthrough at all. I could make them, I think. Yes, I can make the locomotives. I just don't like to, I don't want to because I need to do solder and treated wood for rails at this point. It's like, gee, thanks. Thanks for that. But, so it's increased vastly the, that is a 4.2 million stone. Right near my lead. Interesting. Anyway. So, yeah, molybdenum, my concern is just the size of the patches, but I do have non-zero. This might actually be the biggest patch here at a 1.1. No, that's the denser at 1.8. Oh, there's a 6.4 right there. I think we have our winner. Oh yeah, need molybdenum. It's right there. Right there. There's a 6.4, but probably can't get that much actually on it. In terms of the actual number of miners. Question is, what gas does it use? How evil are we today with the gas needed to mine this? Nickel's going to need syngas, I think. I checked that last time. Anyway, so the whole point of needing the molybdenum is it's part of the aramid requirement. The TPA is going to be the next relatively difficult thing, / long chain. That one has a lot of branching paths to get to it. In particular, I am looking at the version that uses nichrome and aromatics and liquid nitrogen. Also, I'm here driving off into the middle of nowhere, despite the fact that I currently have a power problem that I will eventually take care of through some means or other. I'm going up here. So the issue with that particular recipe for TPA is that the liquid nitrogen is going to require gasoline, and that is why I want Nexalit as well. Alright, this is no gas, but it's a separate machine. A specific molybdenum mine. Alright. This is going to need... Yeah, it needs drill heads, right. Well, at least I know I have those. That's gonna be another long belt. So, the... Huh. Niobium iron alloy. I need that for a few things now. So, the niobium iron alloy should be listed on this page somewhere. That's tin chromium. And a... Here. This is it. So that's right out of plates. Uh, and there's no other recipe for using molten iron instead. Alright, that's fine. I can do this, I just have to pipe belt my niobium over. This will end up being used for Mark IV stuff, as well as the coatings, the mines, a high-tech pump jack. Okay. Stolen thing Mark III. Whole bunch, like all the Mark IV stuff will require this, so guess I'm gonna need to make this if I ever want Mark IV stuff, even though I'm not even at Mark II yet. Alright, and then these machines are 3.5 per second divided by 3. So 1.16 repeating per second per machine. Because, yeah, mining time is a thing that exists, and it's problematic. Alright, I'll be heading back now, because clearly I need to do some alloy work. I'll need to grab additional belts. You know, I never have been using the storage of the car. Maybe I should actually use the storage of the car at some point and try to keep a single car around. Where is my niobium? I actually want to get down to the niobium to make some pipe. Right, so the gasoline recipe that I'm planning on using, oddly enough, it's going to need Nexlet, olefins, and light oil. Which, you know, part of the whole point of doing all of this is to make oil refineries, and yet I'm currently making both. I'm making heavy oil through cracking, steam cracking, basically, of crude oil, and then I'm going to be making light oil out of tar. So that is interesting. So that's 2 out of 3. The only other thing would be the wonderful and glorious gases. So there are several recipes for gasoline. There's this one out of tin chromium alloy and stripped distillates, and then titanium tetrachloride and heavy oil and water. This is a good one. My only thing about this is, well, chlorine, which, by the way, still takes... This does not produce a lot at all. So I am trying to avoid things that use an excessive amount of chlorine, because you don't get a lot at all from the electrolysis processes. I mean, I think in the last stream I talked about it, I said this needs to, like, at least be triple the amount that you get. Not from this. Actually, last time my complaint wasn't necessarily this, but it's like, but even so, this You see how many machines I have here right now? I have 12 of these going and producing hydrogen and chlorine. And 12 machines making chlorine through saltwater electrolysis, so that is 20 units every 4 seconds per machine. So that's 5 units of gas per machine per second. And then multiply that by 12, I have 60 whole units per second. And if you want people to do titanium tetrachloride, which would end up using a whole electrolysis machine's worth of chlorine per second, it's just a bit much, especially when you need lots of hydrochloric acid for other processes. But and if you're wanting to rely on making titanium tetrachloride and doing recipes that involve titanium tetrachloride, you're gonna be needing lots of the saltwater electrolysis. And then tholins, it's like, okay, that is 10 whole units of chlorine. Every couple seconds. So it's the same. So this one's 30 every 6, which is still 5. So tholins gives you the exact same amount of chlorine per second as doing saltwater electrolysis. I actually wonder how the energy use compares on this. If it's actually more energy efficient to do tholins to do chlorine, because this requires that you make saline water to begin with. And right now I'm doing that out of salt, so you have to consider the cost of making the salt through the salt mines, the chemical processing to get to saline water, and then the actual electrolysis machine. Yes, you do get sodium hydroxide out of this as well, which you can definitely use, but as you can see right now, I have a burner line to burn excess sodium hydroxide because I'm making too much of it right now for what I currently need. So it's like, well, maybe it's only good to just make as much of these electrolyzers as you need sodium hydroxide and just consider chlorine and hydrogen the byproducts. And just if you need chlorine, do the tholins, because the tholins, it's you use energy to make the tholins and then use the tholins to make the chlorine. So the thing is, even with the tholins, I will sort of need to do the nextlet first. At least I've brought some of my tailings over. I need to bring more of my tailings over. Also, while I have you here, I've seen this reported on the forum as well, but, so the Niobium Undergrounds move 400 units per second of fluid. Apparently the regular pipes move 100 units per second, but the undergrounds are still doing 400. Last I checked, anyway. I need to do a, oh, right. Really? Okay. I need to... It's not gonna tell me without actually using it. So if I put that there... Of course, it still doesn't tell me what the max is unless I actually put it on a thing. Oh, so this is also more than 100 on the regular pipe, too. So that ultimately means the throughput is more limited on these niobium pipes than iron. Just because fluid mechanics suck in Factorio. The larger the pipe ends up being, the worse throughput you're gonna have. And it's the same on these guys. They hold 400 units of fluid. So, yep, that's impacting detrimentally the potential throughput using these pipes, which sort of makes me not want to use them all that much. Although, stack size 100 is a heck of a lot nicer than stack size 50. That is very beneficial. Also, I do have these drill heads here, just by the way. I am already making the drill heads. So molybdenum... Molybdenum does require its own mines, but niobium is more difficult because niobium also needs the refined syngas. So I'm not actually worried at all about doing the whole molybdenum chain. Oh look, more salt. Even more salt. Oh boy. Yeah, lots and lots of salt on this map. Also, can I just mention, because I like this shade of blue on the kimberlite, that I've noticed that I have, like, I'm overloaded on it. There's so much kimberlite. At inconvenient, in places that are convenient. Also, lots of regolite rocks. Oh look, and sulfur. I have sulfur there. I have sulfur, of course, right there. Is there another convenient source of sulfur over here? I don't think so. This is all rare earth. So, yeah, this is a convenient map. If I do say so. Which I do. This is a convenient map. A very convenient map. With everything everywhere. I'm getting a nice sprawl on my stuff here. Okay, I need to pick up additional belt, clearly. I have to think about where I want to make the niobium iron alloy. Excuse me. And I also need to work on power. So, I think somewhere I've got a power thingy hanging out. just add iron. Oh, hello. This needs... Right, so, as I was saying with chlorine, acetylene. Suffers in that the only ways to get acetylene are tholins and through this calcium carbide chain, which does 100 units every 8 seconds, or 12.5 units per second per machine on the acetylene at Mark 1. And you need a lot of acetylene to mine lead and titanium together. When I worked on lead last time and set up that chain to get to silver plates as well as lead plates, this is the limitation I've run into. Now, this does produce slacked lime that you can't do anything with until coal processing 3, which, or no, you can't use it for anything particularly useful. You can turn it into sodium hydroxide and limestone. Sinkhole it, yeah, that's what I'm doing. But consider that you need on the order of magnitude of 150 units per second to mine a yellow belt's worth of lead. Because, yeah, here's my lead. 60 miners. This is a yellow belt's worth of lead. 60 miners mining 15 items per second. This uses 10 acetylene per mining operation. Which, I think that's really high compared to the gas requirements of many of the other ore types. I think even chromium is 4 syngas. Titanium is 4 acetylene. The borax is 5 syngas. Now the aluminium is 10 coal gas, but the coal gas is a lot easier to get. You can get a lot more coal gas than you can the acetylene. And the acetylene is, as I had said, very, very, very low in the amounts that you can get of it. It's 4 gasifiers for 50 units per second, requiring 5 per second on the calcium carbide, which is a huge pull on the coke. That's a huge pull on coke. Ultimately, acetylene may also be better to make through tholins. Because ultimately, I think that the energy requirement, or the extra energy that it might take to do the tholins, is worth not expending all of that coke to produce it the normal way. Because this is 5.83 repeating on a Mark 1 tholin plant to make the acetylene. So I'm thinking I might prefer having just a long line of tholin plants doing acetylene than trying to do this out of calcium carbide, because this is a lot of coke and a lot of limestone and ultimately a lot of energy. Yeah, the carbon dioxide from the lime is somewhat useful, but consider that we have an unlimited supply of carbon dioxide due to this process right here through the organic matter out of logs. Which, by the way, is a heck of a lot better than out of the wood. Logs into CO2, this recipe chain is significantly better than the wood to carbon dioxide recipe. Like they're not even close in comparison to each other. It's an order of magnitude difference. So, anyway. I think I might just change gears a bit and, oh, I need more inserters. Store those for now. I'm not going to be needing them. So, energy. That was what I was thinking about. That's step one. And there was an issue here as well. I was going to add a third one of these to even out the distribution. I'm gonna need some of those, and then another powerhouse. So I will do this. Whoops, wrong location, buddy. Then water. Ha, you're the first person you've seen that uses the aromatics. Well, I'm using the aromatics just because I have lots of tar. You're the first person you've seen probably because you're the first person, or I'm the first person you've seen that has so much tar in there for their base on their map. I'm just trying to deal with excess tar. That's all I'm trying to do here. Yeah, use hydrogen because it's free. Well, thing about that is, A, I don't know how much of a net positive that is compared to how many machines it takes to produce the hydrogen. I mean, yeah, you're gonna get a lot of hydrogen from both the saltwater electrolysis and the standard water electrolysis. And yeah, I am producing more hydrogen than I am currently using. I will expand that too. But yeah, I'm just gonna keep things going like this, I think. Is it best to do things this way, I suppose? Don't get me wrong, the hydrogen is good and all, but it's not actually it doesn't produce the hottest of combustion mixture, for one. Fuel oil? burns hotter, is easy to make out of crude directly. And out of shale oil. You know, I actually have oil shales nearby, and I was actually looking at shale oil because it's used here for olefins, and it can be used for nitrogen as well. Just add nickel, just add nichrome. Fuel oil is 800 versus 5 to 600 on the aromatics. Huh. Alright, well. I mean, I've got crude. Let's see, what machine is that? Fuel oil? Just a destructive distillation out of crude. It burns 100 units of crude per second, makes 50 units of fuel oil per second. This would do... I'm assuming this is the recipe. 800C combustion mixture, which that's... Well, it's small details that people don't get because people don't understand how temperature impacts the amount of energy they get just because the UI doesn't actually tell you anything about that. The game straight up doesn't tell you that information about how temperature impacts the amount of energy that you get out of whatever fluid you're burning or whatever. Or, yeah. And it's 520C for aromatics. And then you have to also take efficiency into account and all of that stuff. It's a complex system. This says maximum temperature 1000 C. What does that actually mean? I mean, I know that there is a link. I think that much can be understood. There is a link between higher temperature means more power, but more power potentially. But the issue becomes trying to think about, okay, how much power per temperature unit? Also, I did need to add this one in order to even things out a bit. This is just to stop a fluctuation in the meantime. Oh yeah, I also need to remember that I modified my hotkeys so that X no longer shifts the hotbar at all. Instead, I can do left and right to change the top menu. But I changed it so that I can hold shift and push the numbers, or even the numpad numbers, to get to various slots. Apparently 5 isn't assigned properly. So it's... Huh. Shift 5? Hmm. And now I'm not even holding. Oh, it's just the regular numpad. Right. So set my secondary shortcuts to the regular numpad, as well as shift and the normal number buttons. So I can access any of these top two. Still not going to stop me from clicking to get over to 5, though. Alright, and then give me... Really? There's no... Right, because it's closed. Another thing you notice from players in subject power generation is some don't use cooling towers and have a bad time trying to vent it all. Oh boy. They don't notice the closed loop. Huh. Yeah. I mean, even though I know it's a closed loop, the ratio is a little off. It's not a 1-to-1 on these cooling towers. For reference, it's not a 1-to-1 on these cooling towers. It's a... I think it's a perfect ratio at 3-to-4. No, it just so happens that 4 will work out when you have 3. It's a 2-to-3 or 1-to-2. It's slightly off. No, I'm saying if you try to do 2 cooling towers to 2 powerhouses, it's not a 1-to-1. And I've seen this in practice. It actually is not a 1-to-1. You need slightly more cooling towers to actually have a closed loop. I mean, I'd rather just use the +1 cooling tower, and that converts all the steam. Regardless, I have to feed more water into this, actually. Where even... I suppose that I'm using up all of my water, like, from my pipes that I currently have coming out here. That might be the situation I'm running into, because I technically don't have these closed at the moment. These are not fully closed systems, because this connects into the line here, and this connects into this line, and it goes over, and it's feeding this as well, and it continues out. And I don't have enough water to feed this right now, so I need to add more water. Needs more water. Yeah, I'm just going to, You saw how much that would take just to get to 150. Like, all those ghosts I have was, like, to get to 150 units per second on the acetylene. Which, yeah, that's a lot. It's a lot of power. Oh, that would explain. Because I'm also trying to feed all of these extractors too, and I think that this singular line also feeds all of this. Maybe. Yeah, I think I'm just using too much water at this point. Now, that being said, I do have another line of water that's running from up here, but that's being used up here. So I will probably just add another line, but I'm going to run into throughput limits because of the size of these pipes being greater than 100. I don't like running out of offshore pumps. Give me all of the offshore pumps. Oh, I'm doing this for you, by the way. Just because you said, "Oh, hey, try oil burners." All right, I've tried an oil burner. I have no idea how much steam it produces. So I just made 3 engines and put them there. How am I gonna route this? Well, if I have a spot on the bus for water somewhere, I may as well put it there. Have it feeding from 2 directions. Oh, I do hope I can see. No, I don't. Can't see. Oh, there it is. Right there. That's it. This is the one right next to the oxygen. Oh, right, it switches. It switches right here to this line. So on the left of the oxygen, which means on the top of the oxygen, which means this line. Alright. I'm fine with adding a lot more water. By the way, I don't really care about adding additional pipes for water. No, I am just more concerned about the state of the game's fluid mechanics and how it will never be even remotely convenient. I went way too high, didn't I? Yes, I did. Like, I wish there was a way to add pressure to the system, where that the game would just operate under the assumption of some sort of maximum pressure, so that you could actually, you know, make use of the extra size of pipes. Alright, now it's just a matter of bringing this all the way down. Fortunately, there are ways with pipes of getting around throughput limitations. This is one of those ways. Or at the very least, mitigating them. That's better. Just watching as the water drains. It's like, oh yeah, I needed a lot. A lot more than what that single pipe was bringing in. Alright, that should be moving things wonderfully. And technically I'm voiding excess water anyway, so let's ignore that for now. Let's just say things are good. Things are fine. Perfectly fine. Now all of this was merely to... Oh, hey, apparently something backed up at some point, and I no longer was needing spiking over 100, but I needed to add this so that these could operate at their full potential, because I was running into a situation where if I had two powerhouses, they don't produce enough combustion mixture for running two turbines. At least not at this temperature, anyway. It does take the 3 to keep them operating, and there will be a bit of a backup, I'm assuming, on the combustion mixture at some point. Okay. Fuel oil in destructive distillation columns and burning that for energy will be what I actually do to solve this power generation issue for the moment, because as with all things, crude oil will eventually vanish, or at least reduce to a point where it will become useless. But that will hopefully take long enough that we'll have moved on by then. So destructive distillation columns. How much of this am I going to want? Probably all of it, huh? Probably all of it. Needs copper plates for some reason. I was about to sneeze. Oh joy. So, how much fuel oil do I want? Oh yeah, light oil from tar, that's what I'll be doing later. Let's see, you. 50 per second. Actually, let's make another... powerhouse. Actually, I already have one. If I were to burn fuel oil here, you would need 33 1/3 per second in order to operate. 33 1/3. That is less than 1. So 2 can feed 3, which 3 can feed 2 combustion towers fully in terms of the fluid input, and they would be able to produce a lot more energy. So I'm gonna do just that, I think. I need you, all of those. I will need one more powerhouse. Now 2 of these will consume 200 per second on the crude oil. Do I have enough crude oil is the next question. I should have several cars. Or at least a car right here. One day I shall have my revenge on these rocks. Someday. Soonish. Soon-ish. Highly tempted to just start making bots. In fact, can I not... Where's... Where are you? What are you locked behind? This, what are you locked behind? Why are you locked behind blue science? Ah. You see, under normal circumstances, modular armor is not locked behind a blue science text. Ah, joy. Also, why do I have a modules tech available now? I did not know that. Something changed! Hello! Hello. How much crude am I making again? That looks to be a bit over 200. I always forget I haven't, like, written down exactly how much crude oil I'm making. $314.6 out of these. That is just fine. How did I shift this? Didn't I change the button? Oh, I changed it to that. That's what I changed it to. You can really mess up your hotbar if you are spamming your keys. Okay, let's pull some crude once I plop that down. This is not going to be producing more than 1200 units per second, so I shouldn't be afraid to use the niobium pipes. How's my alignment looking here? Ba-ba-ba. Shiny, beautiful niobium pipe. break that. So, 2 of these. Producing fuel oil. Beautiful fuel oil. This fuel oil will be used exclusively in powerhouses. Probably just going to offset them. It doesn't really matter where they live. This will feed a couple of combustion turbines. Yeah, give me... So modules are going to require circuit 2s and 1s to start making. One of the biggest, I guess it's a problem with my play. One of the weaknesses of my play in Factorio is I wait way too long to do modules. Way too long to do modules. I picked up a bunch of niobium stuff so I can make more pipe myself. So long as I can find the tab. Yeah, these sprites don't mesh well together. Hello, Tex. Been a while since I've had Tex. That's how you deal with all of those. Now I'm choosing to do this because it's a lot cheaper resource-wise versus the undergrounds. Alright, power. Just add coke at this point. Yeah, that's plenty of, plenty of speed for the inserter. So, how the heck am I gonna bring in coke? Not coke from here, but coke from here. Hello. So because I have this big turn, my primary coke supply is way up here, meaning that I need to split off either here or here and go out and then down, or down and then over. This is just how it has to be for the moment. And that just leaves the combustion towers, which are in this tab. That's one. And that's two. Then I have to hook the water in to fill the system, and then I can cut it. I think that's the right spacing anyway. Alright, no more tech. Just add water. Alright. This is gonna be tricky. It's gonna be tricky. So, water is being run just to the north of the oxygen. Doing all this will take care of the lingering issue of power for a little while. And then I can start to turn my attention to everything else. And start to actually scale back, I think, on a lot of other things. Okay, so I will bring the water down here. Yes, like stainless steel. Everything will lead to stainless steel, eventually. Now, yes, I will close this loop once it fills. It's just gonna take a... It's gonna take a minute. Because these pipes are throughput limiting. So, yeah, that's gonna have the effect of drastically reducing how much energy I'm getting out of these steam engines. Increase the amount out of the combustion towers by a fair bit. Hey, I'm satisfying a need of 100 megawatts. So things are operating clearly. and I should have headroom. Temperature 800 C. Now this says maximum power output of 24.8 megawatts. Is that, like, even remotely accurate? I don't... For the temperature of the fluid that's going in? No, it's... I'm assuming that's 24.8 max at 1000 C temperature of input. Yeah, if you put the 1000 C in, that's the amount that you get is 24.8. So then, again, how does it scale down with temperature? Because it looks like at temperature 600 C, it looks to be that bar on available performance to be about 60%. So I'm assuming that at the max temperature 1000 C, for every 100 degrees of temperature down, you lose 10%. So if it's 24.8 times 0.6, that means the most I'm going to get out of each of these combustion towers burning syngas is 14.88 megawatts. And I've got 2 of them, so that's 29.76 max out of those. And then if I look at my singular combustion tower on this one, that's 52% out of aromatics, so 24.8 times 0.52, that's 12.896. So that system, that's thus far 42.656. And then the hydrogen burns at 520 as well, so that is another 12.896 and 12.896. So previously, my combustion max was 68.448 megawatts, meaning I had to rely on this. And by adding these, now this one is a little bit easier. This is 80%, 24.8 times 2 times 0.8. That's 39.68 added to 68.448. So my current max out of combustion towers or turbines theoretically is 108.128 megawatts before relying any amount on steam engines. So I have that plus whatever I can get out of steam engines. So I think I have a slight buffer. A slight buffer now. And these 3 burn exactly what's coming in. And I calculated that I do not have enough crude oil in to double this. I don't have enough crude oil in to double this. Because I don't have 400 per second. This uses 200 per second on crude. And I have exactly 314.6 out of this setup, which is the only setup I can currently have at this tech level, because this is the only small oil patch, I think, that's nearby. That's anywhere close to nearby. I have lots of mediums, so once I hit blue science, I'll have a lot more crude oil availability by unlocking the medium wells. That being said, I do also have shale oil potential due to oil sands. So I do have oil sand that I could make some shale oil out of. Yeah, energy will not be a problem. So, yeah, this is good. This is good. Now, the thing about fuel oil, what else is it used for? It is exclusively used for burning into power. Well, that is nice. That is very nice. Alright. Time to run some niobium. I am about that close to installing nanobots on this map. And having my sweet revenge. Let's see, this has stopped. These are almost full. Okay, I think I have the niobium pipe. I think I've got the pipe settled for a while. Let's yeah, let's do that. I think I have enough pipes. In fact, I'm gonna do that and make them stop completely. Every time I want to get rid of the search bar on the top, it's a struggle. You know how Nanobots has that termite ammo that automatically destroys wood and trees around you? Yeah, I want that for rocks. Can someone get on that, please? I want nanobot ammo that seeks and destroys rocks. So yeah, in case you didn't know, Nanobots has an ammo type that I don't think many people actually use, that exclusively destroys trees and does not flood your inventory with wood. You just have to load it, stand next to trees, and they disappear. Now, if you have anything built through those trees, like, I don't know, some belt, they may end up damaged as well. Because they're termite bots. And it's like a poison cloud, basically, is how it is coded, I think. Does poison damage in an area on a tile that has a tree on it. Auto targets trees. Yeah, I want the same thing, but for rocks. It's like, please target rocks instead. I don't care if it's the same exact behavior mechanic, whatever. This is gotta do this. That's not gonna work. Unless I go further up on a... I have to find a better spot to cross. I mean, there is just a console command if I really wanted to destroy all of the rocks. Oh, there is a console command that I would have to execute for each and every single entity name of rock that exists. You know, the whole reason why I even have the show debug info and tooltips on, the entire reason was so that I could do exactly that. So that I could do that on a map where my starting location was volcanic biome. And I was just inundated with all of this nonsense everywhere. Absolutely everywhere. And I just noped right out of that and decided, you know what? I'm just gonna kill all of it. And I did. You just paste the code in, replace the name of the entity with whatever you want. Really, you could even delete ore patches with that command. It just deletes everything within, like, within vision, basically. I have to look up that command again at some point. Alright, what's the next belt that I have available? I don't know. I am apparently using all 4 of these. I have silver. Oh yeah, that was another thing. So there is... part of this process is going to be... I think it's... which one is it? This recipe. I wanted to actually do this recipe for the olefins. Not the shale oil, not the Nexalate hydrogen carbon dioxide, although I could do this one for the olefins, because I'm going to need Nexalate anyway on the specific gasoline recipe that I'm looking for. I wanted to do this recipe particularly because lubricant's easy, I'm producing heavy oil just fine. It gives you soot. And from what I can tell, soot is like the most overpowered byproduct in this mod pack. Because soot is like the give me whatever I'm missing product. It's like, give me anything that I am lacking. In particular, it gives you gold and silver. It's like, I want the silver. That's like the most useful current thing that I'm not producing a lot of. Because while I did set up the lead chain, it's one... I mean, yes, it's tiny amounts, but still tiny amounts of a useful thing that's not used a lot, but does get used, is better than nothing. I mean, it's not a lot compared to the amount I get from one advanced foundry on a silver thing. This one advanced foundry produces not much. And then when it comes to the gold, like, I've I have an idea on what that gold chain actually looks like. If you can just bypass that chain, like not completely bypass it, you'll still need to do it, but whatever extra you can get of gold and silver in particular, you need to get. I mean, the actual ore is not quite as useful, but it's the silver and gold that are pretty powerful, I think. Just because I think the silver in particular, at this phase of the game, at Green Science Tech, the silver is more useful. You can't do anything with gold yet, but the silver has uses. And yes, the particle accelerator does have things for making silver and gold, but particle accelerator is also circuit board 2 and advanced small parts. So we're already at this point, even though you can get this at Green Science. Circuit board 2 is ostensibly blue science at that point, because if you have circuit board 2, you have blue science. Just by the way the blue science is designed. If you have circuit 2s, you have blue science. So I think all of these are unused. No, I have activated carbon on this line. The activated carbon is going in... in here. Which will eventually be replaced once I have stainless steel and can make oil refineries. I think that's the case. This is organic solvent, and it will be replaced with this recipe. Or not fully replaced, but it will give me a use of acetone to make organic solvent. And it gives ammonia, which I will also... Which, it's like, hey, both of these things are used in niobium production. You need niobium and stainless steel to make oil for refineries. So that's a thing. Let's see. This is by far, though, the fastest production. But I sort of need my activated carbon for filtration. And you're being limited by the bone meal anyway. Alright, so this line will, after all that time, and sidetracking, this will be my niobium plates in. Alright, where are my niobium plates? Way up there. Alright. there's those niobium plates, and just because it's a little annoying, I'm just gonna do that. I don't make enough plates to actually need to have to do this at the moment, but just as aesthetics, have both lanes in use. So, niobium iron. That's what I need next. NBFE alloy. In high pressure furnaces. Excellent. I am not carrying any on me. Wow. As many HPFs as I know I have. Where do I want to do this? That's the next question of the day. Oh yeah, I totally did this last time. The more efficient transport belt production. Oh yeah, remember what I said about voiding water? I'm pretty sure that this is fully disconnected from the system, though. Completely not necessary. But, funny. Nonetheless. Alright, I'll fix this. How am I going to fix this? Like so. Yes? This does not break. At least it better not break. This burns excess hydrogen. Again, people like to burn hydrogen for their power, I think primarily just because they end up producing a lot more of it, or a lot of it in the hunt, shall we say, for oxygen and chlorine in particular. Oxygen and chlorine, I think, are the big things. Alright, you can trash. You. I will do this here. That was bad. I should replace this. All these really long power things need to be replaced with big holes, but anyway. You there. When you make... You. This is free? You're telling me this is free? Okay, I will accept free. So that's 0.5. I think I'm making 3 per second on the niobium plates currently. I am tempted to do this. That is a lot of a belt of iron, though. I'll do 2. Oh, this isn't even being used. This is just a spur from what I was... from when I was burning something here. You actually produce a little bit of aromatics. Interesting. Yeah, and it's hooked up so I can make use of it. I'm still clogged on aromatics. So you know how I'm burning aromatics? Yeah, I happen to be producing a lot of it. And not currently consuming much of it. That's why I'm trying to find processes to use it outside of power. Alright, well, this is free, so let me do... this is... yeah, this is not gonna look that great. But I will have convenient spacing of stuff. I'm pretty sure... oh. No, I am wrong. Okay. I am very wrong. Heading on down. Hooking up my niobium. And there we go. Such pretty niobium plates. Okay. That is what I will need. I'll be needing this for the cladding and all that other stuff, which means I'm going to be probably needing to, scale up my iron. Something tells me I'm going to be needing a bit more than a half a unit per second on this niobium iron alloy when I get to making the, coatings. Yes, I'm doing this right now because I want the mines. What's needed on the laser turret? Optical sets, which you make for science. Green science. Huh. Locked behind laser turrets, so you're telling me I need mill tech. To progress to molybdenum mining. To get to circuit 2s to get to blue science. Well, that's a new one. Alright. Mill science. That's... I have not planned this. Okay. Mill science needs aluminium. Hey, finally! Hey, Gee! It's as if I've just made lead, and I have an absolute ton of aluminium plates that I've had nothing to do with so far. And I've sort of been stockpiling, stone bricks for a long time. It's just the piercing round magazine that's the slight issue, but again, lead. What a drain on lead. I'm gonna do firearm magazines from lead because that is a significantly better recipe. Yeah, that is a significantly better recipe. 1 second craft time for 2 lead plates versus 8 second craft time for 1 iron and 2 coal and 2 stone. Yeah, I'm doing this. Heck yeah, I'm doing this. And then it's more lead for the actual gray science itself. So this will mean... Where's my nearest car? Way down there. This will mean I need to grab my car, start running the line of... I just bypassed my car, wow. Start running the line of the stone bricks, which should theoretically be this lane, right next to the rocks. I generally keep my bricks next to my rocks, so I should have that somewhat already set up. Yeah, surprise! Yeah, gray science totally not required for blue science in the base game. Nor in basically any other mod pack that I've played through in Factorio. And yet, here we are. Mill science is required for 1 tech. I am not actually running any of this pipe belt, am I? Nope. We're going from the top, it seems, from the beginning. Here? Required for 1 step! Yes. It's required for 1 machine. 1 machine. It is required for. Oh yeah, I'm making concrete. Maybe I should actually use my concrete at some point. It's used, yeah, it's used in 1 machine. That's how much it's used for that mill science. Required for 1 whole wonderful machine type. That, granted, you'll make a bunch of, but once you've made them, you might not need many more. Depends on how much or how often you migrate molybdenum patches. Because that's all you really need it for. You need it for molybdenum mines. Wonderful. Glorious molybdenum mines. Well, now I know. I had seen that lasers were required for the molybdenum mines, but I was like, surely I can make lasers. Nah. Nah. No, they're gonna need, they're gonna need some mill science for that. Now, I forget, it's been a long time since I've actually paid attention and played vanilla. Lasers require Miltech. I guess? I guess that's the case. Oh, did I mess this up? I totes did. Says the person who doesn't actually play with fighters at all, generally speaking. Or at least hasn't played to a point where lasers are a thing. But yes, it does make sense that the laser turrets are, of course, locked behind all of that. Alright, I can do my mill science up here. As much as I don't want to, because it's like, oh hey, all my nylon and stuff is up here. I'm sort of out of room otherwise. Glorious nylon. Oh, it feels like it's been so long since I've finished the nylon, but there it is, the glorious nylon and nylon parts. Oh, I wish I could use you sooner rather than later. This also means I need to bring my lead all the way up here if it hasn't been run out. Oh, hey, look, it's like I knew that I'd be doing something with lead. My lead is already here and waiting. So, what else? Aluminium plates. That's what I need. So I see, when I look at this, I see that I need steel. Well, I have the steel up here. I have lead up here. I've got the stone bricks. That just means the aluminium. And the aluminium is being run right next to the duralumin. Over... If the game would stop lagging. I still don't know what the root cause is behind the UPS stuttering. So this would be the aluminium. I've had UPS stuttering pretty much every single time I've played with this Pi overhaul setup. Not this specific one, but every single time I run all the Pi mods together, regardless of everything else that I'm using on top of it. Just something about something. Some machine or something is leading to some UPS lag. Yeah, they're heavy, but consider that my machine is valued at... I don't even know anymore. At the time, among, like... I bought it piecemeal, but it's like a $3 grand PC. Not weak by any stretch of the imagination is how I guess I should put it. Alright, that's the aluminium plates. I had a feeling that was going to happen. Yeah, I really don't like how those meshes line up. Yeah, so the niobium pipes have less health than iron pipes, so anytime I run into them with the car, I should expect them to just die immediately. Okay, I guess I apparently have an odd number of underground belts from somewhere. Going up. This is all the way up to the zinc. I don't really think I need it this far. Backing up. This is aluminium processing. This is actually a convenient source of gravel. When it moves, mind you. Anyway. But I mean this setup, too. Now, if you want to talk about overkill on ingredient requirements, as with jaw crushers, in the processing of things, the aluminium requirements for lime to get to pulp 1. The ball mill stuff from the ore, this is fine. This is actually pretty good. In fact, I'd say maybe you could even slow this down instead, make it 2-to-1 on the ball mill to mixers, but require a heck of a lot less lime, because just the sheer amount of limestone required to feed the lime furnaces, just to feed 2 ball mills, or actually, correction, it doesn't feed the ball mills, it feeds the pulp itself. It feeds in right here. So, yeah, it's a lot of lime. Or just some better way of getting limestone than that. Ugh. It's a little crazy. Just a little crazy. Just a tad resource intensive. This is a salt line to nowhere. The line of salt to nothing. It's because I formerly did saltwater, saline water production on the bus, and I sent the salt out there, but then I realized, oh hey, this is sort of a 1-to-1 relationship between mine and chem plant for saline water, so yeah, it's better to just do it locally when it's a 1-to-1 relationship like this. Easier to send the saline water out. So very salty. Anyway. This is going to need... you know what? Let's go the route of the automated factories. Let's do this the way that will prevent me from ever needing any more gray science ever again. He says as he'll need gray science at some point sooner rather than later for something else. Anyway, you are going to make for me... Wow, this machine doesn't even do the vanilla firearm recipe. Cool, I guess. You'll make these. Lead, steel. You do 1.5 per second, so you feed 3. Then it's... this will be half lane of steel, I think. Yes. Half lane of steel and full lane of lead. That way that I can send out the magazines on the other lane. And the science itself is going to require aluminium as well as lead. How do I want to do this? I will terminate the steel magazine mixed belt. I will have the aluminium come in here and do this. And I will send this out. And I will have that making me my walls. 3 per second on walls, that's more than 1.5. Clearly. And that is a... Okay. Okay. That is a full yellow belt of stone bricks to make that much in walls. Sure. So I'll have the mixed belt of walls and thingies there, and then I'll have science. Glorious science. And this will take in... That is a lot of lead that you take in there, buddy. That is a lot of lead. Holy criminies. Jeez, if I wanted to even come close to using the 1.5 production on the firearms. At least that's 2 ratio. That's 30 per second on lead. So now we circle back into this overall issue with the acetylene production, because sure, I could make this much lead if I really wanted to, but the amount of acetylene I would need to mine the requisite amount of ore to feed that is insane in terms of the sheer number of machines that will require. So I'm pretty sure I'm just going to stick to one, maybe two. If I grab more circuits, go down and grab more circuits. Oddly enough, I haven't run my circuits all the way up here yet. I have to go down anyway so that I can grab, there we go. So I can grab some of these. Give me circuits, so I can make that. Of course, I went flying right past where I need to be. There we go, there's stone brick. Flying in. Yeah, you're gonna need a lot. Potentially. I want two just because the way that the inserters work, they can't grab two different types of items at the same time. And since this is going to be a mixed belt, that'll just help with being able to get things done. Of course, this inside thing is lead. You'll be shooting out yours out there. 1.5 is that. Let me just check the, yeah, that's fine. On the throughput. Throughput capability of the inserter being able to send out 1.5 per second is fine, but the 3 per second is what I'm worried about here. I think that fast inserters are 4 point something at a cap bonus of 2. Yeah, they're 4.29, so only need 1. Only need the 1. There. Then it's mixed belt, same reason as above, 2. And then that. Each one of these... Yeah, this works. I have one more. I'll at least... yeah, no to 200, thanks. I'll do 2. I don't really think I even have enough lead, ultimately. We shall see. We shall see. So, that... theoretically is that. Just have to feed it, and then... I, of course, have to get the science out, which... that's always fun. Yet another lane devoted to science this time, so yet another thing to add to the bus. Oh, the best laid plans. Always get sidetracked. I was supposed to be working towards, glorious and beautiful stainless steel today, but, oh, no, no, no. No, you're doing mill science so that you can even think about starting to mine the, molybdenum. Oh gosh, I'm going to need some of this. Okay, and then the top is lead. Well, isn't that convenient? No, no things in my way. And then this line. This line is a half lane of steel, but it has to come from the top. This is where things will get tricky. I'm going to do that. This isn't gonna work. It's really easy to get it on that bottom lane, but it's a lot more difficult to get it onto that top lane, and I never can remember for the life of me how to do that properly. See, it's really simple getting it on that bottom lane. Alright, here's what we're gonna do. Ta-da! I guess if I'm gonna do this, I should do this a bit more elegantly. That works. That's about all I can say about it. That works. So much more convenient when the poles can actually stretch over the machines. Okay, so that's the first stuff coming out. There's the walls and the firearms, and here comes the first of the science. There it is, science! It's gray science! Finally being produced. He says finally, though hasn't really been all that difficult to make to begin with. Well, I have a use for my lead. I can at least say that much. If ever I wished for having belt immunity equipment for cars. So yeah, already this is the third lane of this. Almost used up the whole of this setup. Have to start adding even more lanes. I hope I have enough room at my science. That would be just a little sad. Alright, how far am I going officially? After the, almost non-existent coal. Okay, how am I gonna route this? Route this. Where do I want it? That is the question of the day. Routing this is going to be incredibly awful. Yeah, that's not nice. Because of how this is coming in. And because I have a chest here, that makes it even more awful. Any hoozle. And that, as they say, is that. Now, unless I missed a spot, there's the science coming down. Laser turrets! I need 200 units of mill science before I can even make what I need to make to start molybdenum mining. And at, I think it's 0.6 per second. Not even. This is going to take a while. That's a rather important pipe. So, what shall we do in the meantime? While we wait. How far up have I actually run that heavy oil line? Decent ways. How about making some lubricant? Is it time for lube? I think it's always time for lube. Yeah, I have brought the heavy oil all the way up because it's needed in the zinc processing. Let's see, so these are 0.6, yeah. So 0.6 over 200, no, it's 200 over 0.6, 333, that's a bit over 5 minutes, actually, of production to hit the 200 units of science that I need. Close to 6 minutes, actually. Closer to 6, 5.5 minutes. Alrighty then, lube. Glorious lube. I'm making a little bit more than that heavy oil. And I'm going to actually stick all this behind a overflow valve so that everything else in the system is prioritized over this. Wow, that's actually perfect spacing. But still, 400 units. It's not good. It's not good. Should match the iron at 100 units apiece. As much as I like doing this for aesthetic purposes, I'll just keep it like this, and then we can see the shininess. The shiny! All the shiny and the little tiny window showing how much fluid is in it. That gets bigger with more fluid. Alright, so how many is this? 12? Had a feeling. 120 units per second on the lubricant. The glorious lube. So, what am I going to use lube for? Lubricant can also be made via aromatics, and that actually gives you silver as well, so bear in mind, I could use excess aromatics for lubricant. Also, you're not moving. Why? Because you've still not made it all the way down. And it looks like I've only... I didn't actually connect up all of the labs. Product of tin concentrate. Interesting. But that's filtration media, and I have lots of other better uses for filtration media. So, electric engine units, which I can make now, theoretically. This is also... I could burn it. Oh joy. It is used for cargo Pinobots! Mark 1! Cargo Pinobots being the bots for... They're the Logibots. They're Logibots! I would just have to make solder. But I could start making Logibots. Let's see. It's also used in the improved inserter recipes. And it's used in Cermet for the chips and such, so... Lubricant needed for, Circuit 2s. Absolutely needed for Circuit 2s. Do the... Olefins, this is what I want to do with lubricant. Is make olefins out of it to get soot and bitumen. Which you could get bitumen with titanium tetrachloride with lubricant as well. But the bitumen can be used to make asphalt. Which, hey, I've got gravel being made right close by for aluminium processing. Hey, I can make heavy oil refineries. I can make these. So, I think I can make asphalt out of my bitumen. I could also do dirty syngas, or I could do a straight-up bitumen to nitrogen, which would be pretty cool. You can convert it directly into sulfur, or into tar, or into shale oil, or into heavy oil. You can even make nickel ore out of this stuff. Bitumen is pretty good to have. When I think of bitumen, though, I think of coal, not oil, necessarily. And this is a process that gives you it from oil, ultimately. I think of bituminous coal. Alright, that should speed up the process of getting laser turrets. So, bitumen comes from either that or a crude oil recipe out of shale oil. Okay. And it comes from naphtha and bitumen froth. So I've looked at this recipe, the stuff for naphtha. You can get naphtha out of crude oil, shale oil, wood, and hot air, apparently, or heavy oil into naphtha in an olefin plant. Shale oil is difficult, it seems. Seems that it's either through bitumen itself or through titanium tetrachloride. Anyway, enough of that. I can spend entire streams just going through what is it really used for and looking up all the various stuffs and all the interactions. Oh yeah, and there's a few black lines behind me today. if you might have noticed, just due to the shirt I'm wearing today, I've had to reduce the uh, settings on the chroma key, and unfortunately my green screen needs washing, which I'm planning on doing today. So we shall see about that. The lighting in here is not that great either, so there is that too. I think I'm using all of my lead. Gee, you think? Let's see. By adding that, how is power looking? Just fine. Power is looking just fine at the moment. I did mention having this behind an overflow valve. So I will have it behind an overflow valve. Alright. Question. I am making carbon black out of crude oil. I happen to have crude oil on my bus already, which means I should probably connect that crude oil onto my bus. So what I'm thinking is I want to scale up my rubber production so that I can start doing some shenanigans that use belts made from rubber. And to do all this, I will, of course, want additional oil, but I'm going to need to connect it into my system. Now, the oil is right here. And I'm gonna connect it up. Oh, where? Oh, so the oil's like way down there, alright. I guess I can connect it next to the thingy here. Not directly next to, mind you, but let's see, how far down you going? Alright, where is it? Right there. Ah! Laser turrets. Cool. I should mention that I did at some point need to get the military science, if only so that I could get to the upper levels of the power armor. Because Power Armor Mark II requires Miltech. That is part of vanilla, by the way. Just Mark II Power Armor requires Miltech. So if you do want the best power armor, you have to go with it. And it looks like this power armor is also required for the final long reach upgrades. So I had to just do that anyway. Now, as for these other techs, outside of getting them for the sake of getting them, I don't really need them. But I suppose science is science, and I may as well work on science that I don't have until I have no more. Gives me some demand on the system. Okay, so this should start really kicking into high gear the system. At least higher gear the system. Oh hey, I'm now limited on my stone bricks. I've chewed through my stone bricks, oh noes! All of my stone bricks are gone. Alright, you know, out of everything I've made so far, I think this is the prettiest. Just because of all the shiny pipe that's being used. I do like how this looks. I mean, I could offset this more centralized, but eh. Just eh. Hello, tech. Just energy for the sake of energy from crude oil. Energy from crude. Glorious, wonderful crude. Alright, moving right along. You... make carbon black and are a very big and loud machine. I have localized hot air for some strange, weird reason. Oh, and it's stuck, too. It's not even operating, so... yeah, about that. You're not even operating. So I'm just going to take these machines and use them for the forces of evil in other locations. Alright, so bearing in mind 0.5 and bearing in mind 50 per second. 50 per second. Also 500 per second? Oh, it's a closed loop. It's a closed loop, don't mind me. Oh, but I only... ew. Ew, okay. Yeah, I clearly wasn't thinking here. I need a few more cooling towers. Just a few more cooling towers. for this to actually operate efficiently, you consume 12.5 and 0.5. So, carbon black. Let's think about this. 0.5 carbon black. I think this produces 0.5. Yes, it does produce 0.5. And it needs 25 per second on these. Okay. And ultimately, that just produces a bunch of rubber. A bunch of rubber. A bunch of! And my rubber is being bust at the moment. So I need to bear in mind that at best, I'm making a quarter of a rubber per second. Great. In order to actually consume the full 50... What does this even do? Flamethrower damage. Oh, joy. Better lasers, sure, why the heck not? I can make my mines now, but we're like at the end of the episode, or the video, or I should say the stream here, and even though I can make things... Molly... My Molly mines... Optical sets, right? Niobium iron alloys, right? Which I never actually finished hooking up. Ta-da! Mollies. Batteries! For the laser turrets. Of course. Batteries. That's gonna need sulfuric acid. Batteries. Rayon. Rayon. Okay. I have zinc. I have copper. I don't have sulfuric acid, but I can get it at any time. Rayon. Oh, hi. Yeah, just screw tack. Rayon. One recipe for rayon. Only one exists. And it needs urea, fiber, sodium carbonate, carbonyl sulfide, ammonia, and sulfuric acid, and it is made in a pulp mill. Fiber is made out of raw fiber in a centrifuge. Thankfully, I am making concrete, so I can make centrifuges. Don't worry, I can do that just fine. Also, apparently, microfiber is made in pulp mills as well, out of fiber. Sodium carbonate is made out of coke, limestone, and sodium sulfate. Sodium sulfate is sodium hydroxide and sulfuric acid, or sodium bisulfate and salt. That gives some hydrogen chloride, but bisulfate is salt and sulfuric acid, plus some chloride. Well, this is a way to get a bit more hydrogen chloride. I have salt. I have... It's pretty clear I have lots of salt, but in terms of the item, yes, I have plenty of salt, so sulfuric acid I'm seeing here. That's used for that. Just add more salt to get it. So that needs salt in that and gives chloride. Add more salt to get chloride in this. think that's what I'll do. And this gets used in a lot of advanced processing recipes. It is even used in fiberboard as a different recipe from the one that I'm currently doing. A better recipe with a lot less byproducts, but I'm currently using the byproducts from the current recipe that I'm doing. This is used for sodium carbonate, as well as starch, apparently. Glorious starch. So sodium carbonate, which is being used for our rayon here, is also used in a series of advanced quartz processes. So this is used with purified quartz to make a bunch of glass. Okay, as well as fuel rods and pulp. Okay, so we've got liquid glass coming. We've got liquid glass coming at Quartz Processing 3. And apparently vanadium mixture exists and will need sodium carbonate as well. So rayon. So sodium carbonate, that's fine. That is salt and sulfuric acid. Ammonia is fine. I'm making ammonia somewhat at the moment. And there's several other ways to get ammonia, but generally speaking, ammonia is from the urea. And it can come from that organic solvent recipe that I'm working towards with the oil refineries. So, what is the thing here with the rayon? Oh, the rayon is also used in biofilm, which I can use for other things. And there's apparently a bunch of battery recipes, but something tells me that every single one of these battery recipes is going to need rayon. Yeah, every single one uses rayon. Every single one. So the one in the chem plant uses copper, zinc, sulfuric, and rayon. This one uses glass and lead. So copper and zinc, or glass and lead, or coke, pyrite, and lead. Where the heck are you getting pyrite? Out of iron oxide. How do you consistently get iron oxide? Nitrobenzene. And iron. Or pyrite. Or these inefficient processes. Or rare earth concentrate? Doing rare earth processing? Nitrobenzene. Just so we're clear, sulfuric, ammonia, and benzene. Needed for PPD. PPD is needed for Kevlar, along with TPA. Only made through this recipe, so I'm going to need nitrobenzene anyway. So, making pyrite out of iron oxide and sulfur, iron oxide out of excess nitrobenzene, and iron plates in order to get to pyrite, in order to get to a better battery recipe. I think that's a little bit convoluted. This is the easy way, so I suppose I will go with that one. And I'm lacking lead anyway, so a process that doesn't use lead, I think, is preferred here. There's also this one, which is chromium and steel and sodium hydroxide and lead. That gives 6 batteries for the cost, and it doesn't use sulfuric acid at all, but it does use sulfur. Anyway, that's batteries. In the end, it all comes down to sulfuric acid. So, where is the sulfur mine? Sulfur mine. Sulfur mines. I think I have a couple of these hanging around somewhere. I think I've got sulfur mines in some box shoved away somewhere. Not there. Clearly. Not in that one. So, which sulfur should we tap? I don't know. I don't even know. And yeah, I've now gotten completely sidetracked from the whole thing about, upgrading the rubber and all of that. It's not here. Not there. I may have just lost it. Nope, there we go. I knew I had more. However, I didn't take a break today, and I think that it's close enough. I'm going to call it for today. What did we get done? It doesn't feel like all that much, but the main thing is that power has been sorted out. That's one of the larger things that's gotten done today, is power got sorted out, and I've planned out what will come in the future. I got gray military science. That's another big thing. Mill science and lubricant are big. Those got added fresh today. Otherwise, not too much, unfortunately. But sometimes you just have to take time, set some time aside, and do some planning. And that has definitely been the theme of today. With that, I would like to thank you all for watching. This has been Otaku Showboat. I will be back with more Pyanodons on Tuesday, and I will of course be back tomorrow with more of the Angels playthrough. I will see you all then.